kazi yake. So hii kitu tunaichezaje? Can I move? Mimi ndo niko bana. So saizi anakugenea. Uko wapi? Kwa? Uko? Wala umeka tena? Mike, cut off on a video. So bad. He's not telling us he's on air, he's not on air. So it becomes a bit hard to shoot. Mr. Locato. Tutaongea. Niko huku ndani ya Nation Center na shoot. Hebu fanya hivi. Enda hapo kwa dinga Nation ya blue. Uliza mtu anaitwa Arnold. Arnold, sawa. Unaweza tia Arnold. Au unaweza nitie mpya unitie. Kudungwa. Walisemaje? Asi wewe unge sign. Ndio ni kesho naingia job. Haya, ndakuja huko basi, tutapatana huko.
I'm sure it's not attached to the reason we have tonight. So this year's celebration of 60 years of Nation Media Group. My name is Masai. The beautiful lady standing next to my left.
I'm looking forward to a great night as we celebrate the Nation Media
Abi. And what we will be doing, of course, being friends of Nation Media Group partners and what have you. We all know the journey of Nation Media Group is probably not dating back 60 years. So we will be looking for milestones over the 60 years. There will be something spectacular over the marvelous building of our Nation Media Innovation Center. But that will be outside. We'll be heading outside in the next few minutes. And yes, I believe you probably go with your drinks if you're wondering. But someone will guide you outside. But first,
we'd like to invite the Chief Executive Officer of the Nation Media Group, that is Mr.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Now, I'd like to also welcome you to NMG on this great day when we are celebrating or we are launching our 60th anniversary celebrations. But before I start, I would like to invite Bwana Wangusi, who is our DG of the Communication Authority, to say something, and then I'll give my speech. Wangusi.
Thank you for this honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, could we please just request for your attention as we listen into these brief speeches? Your attention would be appreciated. Thank you.
I want to recognize the presence of the PS ICT, Mr. Jerome. I also want to recognize the chairman of the Nation Media Group. I think we have moved a long way up to where we are. I want to recognize the other executives who are here and the top management of the Nation Media Group for the wonderful day of today in celebration of your 60 years. I also want to celebrate all the other players in the media sector. I'm surprised that we are at this number, and I guess we can even do more and better. I believe my only challenge I will leave for the Nation Media Group and other media houses is that where we have reached, we should not rely on the single platforms that we have been using for the delivery of our content. I think there is convergence in distribution channels. We would like you also to see that you are spreading into other countries the way they are spreading into our countries, trying to do the same business we are doing. I think the platform is uniform across. And as the sector regulator, we are going to ensure, and I think we will be having regular meetings with you, that we plan ahead of how we are going to deal with menaces of OTTs. We have our own local content that can be consumed by even Kenyans in the diaspora, and those platforms are available. I think if we do that, we are going to create more players. We are going to have more people employed in this sector. And I think that is the reason why the regulator exists. And thank you very much for honoring us and inviting us. And I wish you a great celebration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let us clap for Bwana Francis Wangusi, Mr. Jerome Ocheng, the PS Ministry of ICT, and Dr. Wilfred Kiboro, the Chairman of NMG, Her Excellency Ms. Aline, the Ambassador of France to Kenya, the Ambassador of Rwanda, Richard, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to welcome all of you to this auspicious occasion as we launch the celebrations of the 60th anniversary. This is a launch of our celebrations. The celebrations will start today and will run across the year. It is a special moment for the Nation Media Group, and it's a privilege and honor for all of us to share this milestone with you. In marking our 60th anniversary, the Nation Media Group has much to be proud of. We opened our doors 6 decades ago. We were just a small newspaper. The chairman refers it small things as Mickey Mouse. But today, we have grown into the largest multimedia house in East and Central Africa, with operations in print, broadcasting, digital, across all platforms, as our director has talked about. We attract and serve an unparalleled audience across the world. Therefore, in celebrating our 60 years of transforming society and embracing our unique heritage as an independent media house, we are inspired and are confident that we have the right strategy to successfully navigate fast across a content-rich marketplace. In today's data-driven world, the pressure to innovate and adapt to technology quickly is even higher. Nation Media Group has full advantage of this modern reality and is well on the way of becoming the digital-first multimedia company. I know much is being said about the media industry and the current age of disruption, both locally and globally. Let me assure you that we are alive to the challenges facing the business as our consumers continually shift wholeheartedly to either digital, some people prefer calling it social, and most of us in Africa prefer calling it mobile platforms. So, Wangusi, again, that is to assure you we are on top of the challenge that you've raised. We intend to be relevant in the lives of our consumers by being providers of unique, high-quality content at your convenience and in your own way. We will aggressively grow our audiences in the digital space by providing unique value that keeps our consumers engaged and connected on our platforms. I strongly believe that we are addressing this challenge by ensuring we are mobile first. We deliver quality and differentiated content on platforms across all platforms. In order to win this space, it is critical to be the first with the truth, deliver superior user experience, create products that are relevant to our consumers' lives. In this regard, our commitment is we are committed to give our consumers highly desirable content that fits into their world, however, wherever, whenever they need it. Again, I want to repeat that. Our commitment is to give our consumers highly desirable content that fits into their worlds, however, wherever, whenever they need it. The group will continue to redefine itself as a modern digital content company underpinned by the key pillars of growing our content business and creating new value. We will invest in building capacity to generate quality, credible, and trusted diverse streams of content that connect and engage with our consumers. It is critical as a business that we continuously explore ways of creating new value. The focus in driving this business objective will be to understand the discerning consumer who we seek to serve through the use of data-driven consumer insights and an effective distribution system to deliver across our products and offerings and to guide our product and serve innovation. We will focus on driving innovation in the business by creating an enabling environment for creativity, provide space for experimentation and conventional thinking, and challenging the status quo and the old ways of doing things. On behalf of management and staff of NMG, we are extremely thankful to our consumers, our clients, who most are here, our partners, vendors, distributors, suppliers, shareholders, and other stakeholders. Today, that is past and present, who have provided us with the patronage all those years. We continuously endeavor to meet them at their point of need. It continues to be an honor and a privilege to serve you. Let me also express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to all our employees, some of whom have served this company for more than 20, 25 years, and some even closer to 40 years. In my mind, the absolute best part of building and growing NMG has been the opportunity to attract, recruit, and retain exceptionally talented individuals that share our vision, mission, and values with the mindset of working together as a team to create value in our society. I'm extremely proud of NMG, who continuously put, NMG staff, who continuously put all efforts, sometimes working under very difficult and challenging conditions, in order to make us win now and in the future. In conclusion, we are your messenger, your storyteller, your fact checker, your explainer, your trusted champion of society. In this regard, we are proud to stand along our journalists and will never shy away to protect their lives and ensure their safety while advocating our media freedoms. The media is not without flaws, and where we go wrong, let us also be forthright and humble to accept our mistakes. Our story is still being written, and as the next chapter unfolds, I'm confident that it will chronicle our continued mission to positively transform society with changing tides in the globally competitive environment. We look forward to you joining us in various activities, reaching out to the various stakeholders throughout the year as we celebrate this important milestone with all of you. Thank you for joining us this evening, and I'm happy to be with you in the evening here at our own building, the Nation Center. God bless you, and God bless Nation Media Group. Thank you, Asanteni. Next, I would like to invite the chairman who has served this company for a long period as a CEO. And one time, I saw a picture of the chairman coming out of a helicopter that had crashed. And I looked at him and said, this man is very lucky. He came out of a helicopter alive, and you can see he's here. So welcome, Bwana Kiboro.
Thank you, Stephen. The DG, the PS, and the ambassadors here present, all our invited guests, the AKDN rep, all our invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I think when I got the invitation to come, I was told we were just coming to party. So this is exactly what I came to do. And I think all of us here We didn't come to listen to a lot of stories about this and the other, and we came to have a good time. But I think to put it in the context why we are having a good time is because Nation Media Group is celebrating the 60th anniversary, and that's a good, let's give ourselves a clap. I think 60 years is a long time by any standards. Those are 6 decades, and I think it is good to reflect on what has happened in that time. And maybe for those people who may be new to Nation Media Group, to tell them a little bit about our history and why we are here and what really drives Nation Media Group. And the history of Nation Media Group, I say that I'm very lucky to have been there all that time, all the 60 years that Nation Media Group has been around. I have been there. Nation Media Group was founded when I was a teenager. So I think I'm qualified to talk a little bit about the history of Nation Media Group. And the Nation Media Group has been an incredible institution because, in fact, it is synonymous with the history of our country. Because, you know, Kenya got independence in 1963. Nation Media Group started around 1999. This is at the time that the country was really going through a very difficult time, struggling against the colonial government and the oppression and all the rest of it. And His Highness the Aga Khan, who is our founder, he came around. I don't know what was bringing him to this part of the world, but he felt that the Africans really did not have a voice where they could be heard, even as they were yearning to be independent from the colonial masters. He found that they really needed a platform through which they could express their own desires and their own aspirations and their own dreams in a manner in which they thought was appropriate. And that's how Nation Media Group was founded. He started by buying a small Swahili paper called Taifa Leo, and then thereafter he added a new platforms like The Nation. I think The Nation started in 1960. And then the rest is history. We have then grown a long, long way. And Nation Media Group, for those who are young ones like Vidyat here and so on, and the young presenters I see, we did not start here. We came to these premises in 1992. Our first home was in Tomboya Street, just opposite the fire station, for those of you know. I can't even remember where our advertising site was. I think somewhere near Stanley House. But we came into this home in 1992. And Nation Media Group really made its name by what it stood for. And just to tell you what we were founded on, is that Nation Media Group was founded on the bedrock of a set of values to espouse independent voices, diversity and freedom of expression, and central to these values and the purpose of our establishment is a mission to be a trusted partner to emerging African democracies, a champion of the ordinary person in his or her interaction with the government of the day, a voice for the rule of law and respect for human rights, and also a strong advocate for free market economies. These have been our values for the last 60 years. And I must add that, in fact, they are likely to be our values for the foreseeable future. Because what we have tried all these years is actually to positively influence the society, and we continue to be guided by the values of truth, the values of independence, fairness, balance, objectivity, and accuracy. That's what Nation Media Group stands for, and that's what we try to do. If you look some of the screens that have been running around there, we have actually chronicled the history of this country. And just to give you a highlight of some of the things that have happened over the various decades. We came into being during the Cold War, and you know that time it was either communism or capitalism, and they were a very difficult moment in terms of actually the third world countries trying to define which way they should do, and we had all sorts of things like non-aligned movements and so on. And I think Nation covered that extremely well. I'm not going to cover all this, but we have covered the political history of this country, right from the Lancaster House Conference to Kenya's becoming independent, and then we had KADU, and then we had KADU, and then all these mergers that you hear about, right through to the time we became a one-party They used to call it one-party democracy, but actually, in actual fact, it was one-party dictatorship. But where the political party with all this around, and it was a big struggle, where Kenya became a one-party state, and we had all those sort of things which we chronicled, where when people went to vote, it's not all this nonsense we have about the gadgets that don't work electronically. Those days in 1988, for instance, the voting was by queuing. You queue behind your candidate. Ilikuwa inaitwa mlolongo. And we chronicled all that. And I think we have a very rich history. If you care to go and look at our archives, you'll just see how Kenya has evolved. When Kenya became one-party dictatorship, KANU, which had the symbol of the cockerel, we were told KANU ni mama na baba. In other words, it was the beginning, the alpha and the omega. So it was the beginning and the end of everything. And if you wanted anything, you had to be KANU. In fact, I still do have my membership of KANU because that, which everybody, if you are anybody who mattered, you had to carry that card with you because you never know whatever. You couldn't access a passport, you couldn't do anything without a membership of KANU because KANU was Baba and Mama. But that is history which I think Nation Media Group has chronicled very well. Nation Media Group made profit actually after 10 years of operation. And this says a lot about what we stand for because our founder was not starting this newspaper or this media house purely for profit, but for a cause. And I've said that he was driven by actually trying to provide a platform that can make a difference to this country, that can make difference to the lives of the people around us and so on. And therefore, you can imagine that somebody, and he was a young man then, funding this enterprise for a whole 10 years without getting any return out of it. And that says a lot about our commitment and what we are for. And that thinking informs us up to this day. So that today what we stand for is actually to be the agent for the common good of this nation and also internationally. Some of the most dramatic things that we reported, for instance, was about the coup in Uganda, where Obote was overthrown by Idi Amin. And Idi Amin actually came and claimed part of Kenya, all the way up to Naivasha. He said this was Ugandan territory. And the country nearly went to war on this one. And you can imagine, how sensitive it was to report about those sort of things. But I think we have reported with a lot of balance. I think even when the country went through difficult times, like in the 60s when we had the death of Tom Mboya, and the country almost coming to close to war. And I think those things we try to report them with a lot of sensitivity around them. So I don't want to talk a lot about that, but in fact, when the first man landed on the moon, I know we reported that, although there is a whole story about it, about the picture that actually, maybe now I can maybe disclose how we got a picture. I think the story was that the moon had a lot of craters, and it looked very rugged and everything else. But we couldn't actually, it is not like today, where you have all these digital razzmatazz and everything else. So I think somebody suspects somebody got a biscuit from the house of Manji. and actually, actually blew it up. And pretended that was the surface of the moon. But anyway, I don't know whether that is true or not, but people needed to see how the moon looked like. And I think that was a good replica of how the moon looked at that particular point in time. Some of the notable things that I think we did was, for instance, Mohammed Amin, who was a great photographer of world renown, when he went to Ethiopia and came up with incredible pictures about the famine in Ethiopia. I think those were just mind-boggling. And therefore, it becomes a matter of really great sadness that even after all those years in the 60s and so on, we are still having hunger and famine in parts of Kenya, which is a great shame. But Nation has been there to record those events and will continue doing so. The fourth decade, which is the 1990s, saw some dynamic expansion of the group, and this is also the time when we actually started a newspaper called the East African to try to see whether we could bring the East African community together. So I think we can go on and on, but I think if you really want, and I think because today is just the launch of the 60th celebrations, I'll not go into a lot of that because these celebrations, I'm told by the CEO, budget permitting, we'll be celebrating the whole year. So we will be having a lot of opportunities to talk about some of the highlights of the group and so on. But I think the most important one, particularly when I was the CEO here, was with my friend here, Wangusi, when we, through the courtesy of the digital disruption, there was a lot of push and pull, you know, because we were analog. Wangusi was very determined to transit us to the digital space, which I think was the right thing to do. And there was push and pull, and so on. Many of you may not know that at that particular point in time, probably there are only 4 television stations. Okay? Now today, courtesy of the digital migration, we have maybe close to 100 TV stations, and we can't even count the number of radio stations we have. So there has been a lot of significant progress and also significant changes, particularly in the area of technology. Young men and women here may not believe that in the 60s and the 70s, the internet was not around. You know, it is difficult to understand how we used to put a paper every single day without the computers and without the internet and all these other things, the gadgets that help us to do it. I don't know how, some of the young men here may not know what a typewriter is. You know, a typewriter, which is very, very analog type of technology. I would like to ask the CEO whether we can actually have some sort of museum to actually show the evolution of the technology over those years, because I think it makes an incredible story. I want to end there, but just to say that I want to take this opportunity to really thank you once for coming here, but also to commit that we'll continue doing what we have been doing for the last 6 years, to be true partners of this country, to really look after the well-being of the welfare of the people of Kenya. I think that role is not properly understood, because sometimes when the government doesn't feel that we are supporting them, they get confused, because our role is really to do, our role and responsibility is to the people of Kenya, not necessarily for the government of the day. But this is not to say that when the government does something good, we can't recognize it. We do. And when, of course, they go off the rails, it's also our duty to come and tell them, no, that's not the way to do. That's our role, and we'll continue to do. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great time. We'll have a lot of time the whole of this year to tell you about the journey of Nation Media Group, and also the journey of Kenya, the region, and also the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bwana Chairman. Next, we'll have our chief guest, the PS Minister of ICT, Jerome Ocheng. Karibu.
Thank you very much. First of all, before I even start, is to express apologies from our Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Joe Mushero. He really wanted to be here, but due to some other commitments, he was not able to join us. So I'll begin the speech. Mr. Wilfred Kiboro, Chairman, Nation Media Group, His Excellency Aline Kuster, Ambassador of France to Kenya, Mr. Stephen Gatamana, CEO, Nation Media Group, members of the board, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening. Good evening again. It is really exciting to be here this evening, and I know, like Chairman said, it is not the day for speeches. I just really want to highlight a few things that, from a government perspective, would want to talk about. I want to thank you for according us this opportunity to be part of the gathering to witness the 60th anniversary of the Nation Media Group. Kenya's media's landscape remains one of the most vibrant in Africa and indeed across the world. The digital migration that Chairman was talking about has really placed power in the hands of Kenyans who are now demanding for more content that they want. In a sense, consumers are now driving the agenda, and a successful media house is one that literally puts its ears on the ground and creates content that Kenyans are seeking for. The emergence of strong and independent TV station in the country is a testament of the dividends gained by the liberalization of the media industry and actually the digital migration. Following the move, the media ecosystem in the country has undergone unprecedented changes and presented exciting experiences and excellent opportunities to both our listeners and viewers. The public that was once viewed as a passive consumer of mass media messages are now actively increasing to be participants in the information flow as content producers and transmitters. According to the African Development Bank report, 22% of the African working age population are now starting new businesses, which are the highest rate of any region in the world. Meanwhile, small and medium enterprises who have fewer than 20 employees and less than 5 years experience really now constitute the largest providers of formal sector jobs in sub-Saharan Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, often using their mobile phones, devices that have converged the media, listeners and viewers now participate in live debates and share their own narratives that add value to the information chain. And I commend the Nation Media Group for accommodating voices of Kenyans and opinion shapers. As you're all aware, television and radio is a powerful tool of communications. Producers carefully select compelling images and sound bites to capture and maintain their viewers' attention. Use of such visual that create lasting impression in human memory is critical to influencing human perception. I would therefore urge program producers to use the power of the media to transform the image of Kenya and the continent. In Kenya, we currently have over 62 free-to-air TV stations and 178 FM stations that have created employment to more than 3,000 documented journalists working in both the print and electronic media. This growth is attributed to the supportive government policies and legislation that have reduced the cost of licensing, making it cheaper to invest and operate in the broadcast industry. I would wish to assure you the government commitment to creative, conducive environment for the investors in the media sector. For instance, CA and DG is here. The government has put in place a spectrum management and monitoring system that will enhance efficiency in the management of radio frequency spectrum in the country in order to create a level playing field in the sector and optimize utilization of frequency spectrum resources. As a watchdog of this society, it is incumbent upon the media to utilize the spectrum space responsively and to facilitate citizens' access to credible, limitless, for a conscious and robust democratic society. In our country, the Constitution expressly provides for the right to freedom and access to information by the public and the media. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want to assure journalists and the media owners that the government is fully committed to encouraging and protecting press freedom. As a government, we will collaborate with the media to promote fundamental rights and freedoms as enshrined in the Constitution, and would discourage any unfair treatment to journalists. The ministry, represented by the Media Council of Kenya, has organized for a 3-day Kenya Media Sector retreat that will take place next week, and we're looking forward to your participation as we celebrate the World Press Freedom Day that will be taking place on Friday, 3rd of May next week. However, as you may all be aware, freedom and rights too must be accompanied by responsibility. Although the media has a role to play as a society watchdog, the media must also be cautious against use of the power of the press and shun acts of slander, defamation, violation of privacy, among other malpractices. I therefore urge the media owners to employ professionals with knowledge of the media laws and ethics, and also uphold and protect the reputation of the fourth estate. I also call upon the media to rally behind Kenyans towards common interests and peace and mutual coexistence. As I conclude, I would like to congratulate the National Media Group for being at the forefront in telling both the Kenyan and, by extension, the East African stories in the last 6 decades. Congratulations, NMG. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. Asante.
Thank you very much, PS Jerome Ochieng, for that wonderful speech, and for all the people who've come here, Chairman and Steve. I want to take exactly 1 minute, because we are behind schedule by a few minutes. There is something we came here to do. I know we say we didn't come here for speeches. We came here for something that is much of a surprise that is outside there. So I want to take this time. What we will do very quickly is we will have Steve, PS Jerome, and Chairman starting the way. We will be guided. We will go straight on Banda Street, and you will see a tent on Banda Street. We will arrive at that tent. We will have our guest of honor, PS Jerome, Chairman, and Steve, clicking something, and we will start what brought us here. So let me, at this point in time, please ask Steve and PS and Chairman to lead the way. So may I ask all of us to please, we can follow Chairman on the way out.
very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We interrupt your normal programming to bring you a special airing of a special night for the Nation Media Group family. My name is Mark Masai.
A very good evening to you. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. Now tonight we are telling you a story that started 60 years ago.
It's actually a story during the colonial era, a story of independence.
And it is a story of principles, one of big courage and big dreams.
It's a story about the news, the headlines, the big headlines, as we covered the milestones of the nation, of our republic. It's a story as well behind the news.
Tonight, we are celebrating the Nation Media Group at 60 years.
And Smriti, it must be a special night that they would block out Banda Street and Kimathi Street on a Friday night. As you can probably hear some of the natural sound behind us. They've closed it out for us. Is it about us?
It's not about us, but it is about the entire nation. That is the Nation Media Group and you as well. We are here in the heart of the Central Business District with the iconic Nation Center right behind us.
And she says iconic, and you'll see the definition of iconic in the next few minutes because it's all going to light up even more than my bald head, and it's going to be spectacular.
In a much more attractive way than your bald head, Mark Masai. Indeed, we have a fascinating show ready, set for you. But first, we have an introduction to this milestone and why it is such a special year for the Nation Media Group. Now, to introduce our Chief Executive Officer of NMG, that is Stephen Gitagama.
Thank you. The Nation Media Group is proud to officially launch the 60th anniversary celebrations of the NMG from 1960 to 2019. Welcome.
Welcome to this celebration as we launch our 60th anniversary celebration. We are so delighted to have all of you here to be part of this history, and we are looking forward to another 60 years of good journalism and also standing for the people of Kenya. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. And just in case anyone goes online to start some fake news, we're not under attack, we're in celebration because it's Nation Media Group at 60. NMG at 60 is what we're running on social media.
And congratulations to the Nation Media Group and to the entire nation as a whole. An absolutely awesome light show that was, Mark. A true testament to really how far we've come. But this is just the beginning.
You just have a bit of shrapnel, or should I call it, pieces from the fireworks. Yes. But yes, we're in the spirit of celebration. It continues definitely. And this is just the beginning. Into the year, we'll have more functions that will be marking the milestones of Nation Media Group at 60. And of course, looking at the future, where we're looking at, where we're going as Nation Media Group. Smriti.
We have a lot to celebrate, and we...
Should probably hand over to Edmund Yabola.
All right, well, once again, thanks very much for joining us on our special broadcast. This in just a moment.